It's Ash from SuperVideos back for another video for The Last of Us on HBO. On this video, we're going to be taking a look at a very interesting detail that they revealed about how Season 1 was supposed to end or originally gonna end. So an alternative ending for Season 1 that they ended up not going through and kind of giving us the actual ending that we got. And this alternative ending is an ending that's slightly different than how the game ended, which is the original ending that they have for Season 1 as well. And that slight change would have made a difference in terms of how they're going to approach Season 2. So stay tuned, we'll be right back to discuss this in more detail. Alright, as always, before we dive into it, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. With that said, let's dive right into it. So of course, they ended Season 1 the exact same way that they ended Part 1 of the game, with a conversation between Joel and Ellie about the stuff that's happened in the last little while, with Ellie kind of bringing up the fact that she's lost Riley, and then she lost Tess, and then she lost Sam, and then kind of using that as a segue to get to her point about asking Joel the truth, asking if everything he's told her about the Fireflies and what happened to them is the truth, with Joel obviously lying to her and saying that he swears, with the season and the game ending with Ellie saying okay. And obviously, this is supposed to really highlight the fact that Ellie wanted her life to be meaningful. She wanted the sacrifices that they've made to not be in vain, and for the stuff that they've done to matter. And obviously, the way that she says okay in both the TV show and the game is really supposed to highlight the fact that she doesn't fully trust Joel, but she has to trust him because the other way of thinking about it would just be too devastating for her to even want to imagine. Now, this is not really how the season was supposed to end. The director of this episode, Ali Abbasi, actually did an interview where he talked about the alternative ending that they wanted to use. And after conversations with the showrunners Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, they decided to not go through with the alternative ending and go with the original, which obviously ends with this close-up shot on Ellie saying okay. But the alternative ending was actually supposed to be this, where after Ellie says okay, she turns around and then heads towards Jackson, and then we see Joel following her behind, but there's a distance between them, and they're not really walking together. And that was really supposed to highlight the fact that there's distance between them and that they're not really as close as they used to be earlier. They decided not to go through with it and decided to stick with the original ending like the game. Now here's where things get interesting, because if they were gonna go through with this alternative ending, then they would have actually had to do a lot more in Season 2 to really show that Joel and Ellie are not really as close as they used to be. And they would have to had kind of added some story to really highlight the fact that the bond that existed between them is no longer there, which would obviously have been a pretty nice way to build up the other conversation with them that we saw in Part 2, with Joel finally revealing to Ellie the truth about what happened after years of lying to her. So the fact that they decided to keep the original means that there's a very good chance that they're gonna follow the same sort of narrative as Part 2, where you don't really see the bond between them being as hurt until we get to the point where Joel reveals to her what actually happened and tells her that he's been lying all these years. So this distinction in the narrative in Season 2 compared to the way that it was done in the game could have been a very interesting approach and an interesting perspective into their bond and their story. You know what I mean? So the fact that they decided not to do it is kind of bittersweet, because that means that we're going to get a story closer to the story that we got in the game, but it also means that we are not really going to get an addition or a sort of added layer that could have been there to make their story even more interesting and add more depth into their relationship. But I think at this point, I'm leaning more towards this being a good decision rather than a bad decision. But I can't help but think about what could have been if they ended up keeping the alternative ending and how it could have impacted the season to come. But I'm definitely interested to know your thoughts and opinions about this. Do you like the original ending, or do you think that the alternative ending would have added a layer to the story that would have made it even more interesting? So share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.